There are four sectors that I'm focusing on for the next bull run: the technology and AI leaders, chemicals, consumption, and metals. From technology, the first is the Nvidia of India, NetWeb Technologies. It reported a 141% year-on-year revenue growth in Q3 FY26. With a 1733 crore strategic order book, they are the primary beneficiary of the 10,000 crore India AI mission that has now become the centerpiece of India's strategy. It is a company transitioning from a niche supercomputing player to a critical backbone for India's digital sovereignty. In Q3 FY26, AI systems contributed 62.2% of the total revenue, up from just 10% 2 years ago. This move isn't just a trend, it's a structural pivot. It also has a sole mover advantage in that NetWeb is India's only full-stack hardware provider, with indigenous IP and exclusive partnerships with Nvidia, AMD, and Intel. Under the PLI 2.0 scheme, NetWeb is manufacturing 24-layer PCBs and high-end servers locally, insulating it from any global trade volatility. By 2029, NetWeb is expected to be a 4,000 plus crore revenue company. The current premium valuation is a scarcity premium given to the company. Investors are paying for the only listed company that can build the hardware needed for India's AI future. Next, we have Kaynes Tech, and factoring in the new Telangana facility, they are projected for a 50+ revenue CAGR percentage. A high client stickiness in defense and aerospace makes them a must-have company. It is transitioning from a traditional electronic manufacturing service provider to a high-value product-led ESDM, electronic system design and manufacturing. That basically makes it a semiconductor warehouse. Commercial production at its Sanand, which is in Gujarat, the facility there has just commenced in early 2026. This moves Kaynes into a high margin bracket compared to simple PCB assembly. The company has also earmarked a staggering 11,000 crore capex plan through FY29. Roughly 29% of this is dedicated to OSAT, 14% to advanced PCB manufacturing, and 33% to new high-growth segments like camera modules and HDI PCBs. In the railway segment, Kaynes is the primary beneficiary of the national rollout of the Kavach train protection system, which is expected to contribute 300 to 400 crores annually starting now. Targeting a 1 billion revenue by FY28 and 2 billion by FY30, analysts forecast a steady revenue CAGR of 46% from now to FY28. The net profit is expected to grow even faster than revenue. Moving on to chemicals, the first is my favorite company in the Indian stock market, Ether Industries. It is a serious contender in the high barrier specialty chemicals and CRAMS space. For an investor with a 3-year horizon, the thesis revolves around capacity-led growth and margin expansion as they move into high-value pharmaceutical and electronic chemicals. Their site in Panoli is the crown jewel of their growth story. Phase 1 blocks are commissioned as of Q4 FY26, significantly increasing their capacity for large-scale manufacturing. Ether stands out for its operational discipline in a sector known for high working capital needs. Next up is Supriya Life Sciences. The company is successfully pivoting from a commoditized API manufacturer to a specialized niche player in complex chemistry. The company is currently on track to hit 1,000 crore in revenue in FY27 and has laid out a roadmap for 1,600 crores by FY29. Its new Ambernath facility is becoming a key driver for CDMO and formulation businesses. Commercial contributions from this site, including liquid anesthetics and oral solids, are expected to significantly boost margins. In product leadership, Supriya remains a global leader in antihistamines, anti-allergics, and anesthetics. Its focus is shifting towards complex chemistry, led by APIs like cardiovascular intermediates and ADHD-focused products which carry higher entry barriers. Supriya is a rare, high-growth pharmaceutical company that is virtually debt-free. All major capital expenditures, including the 350 crore Patalganga facility, are being funded by the internal accruals. The company consistently delivers EBITDA margins of 33 to 35%, significantly higher than the industry median. This is driven by the 79% backward integration, which protects them from raw material price volatility. Next up is a consistent compounder, Varun Beverages. VBL represents a high-conviction compounder play transitioning from carbonated drinks to a diversified portfolio including dairy, juices, and even alcoholic beverages. VBL is moving past its reliance on classic Pepsi to higher-margin, high-growth categories. With major acquisitions in South Africa and greenfield projects in the DRC, international markets are expected to contribute about 30% of revenue by 2028. VBL is investing heavily in value-added dairy and juices through Creambell and Tropicana. These categories carry better margins than carbonated soft drinks and less seasonal. In a major strategic shift in late 2025, VBL entered a partnership with Carlsberg to test market beer in Africa and explore wine and spirits in India. This opens a multi-billion-dollar revenue stream for the 27-29 window. After a massive capex cycle in FY24, VBL has successfully reduced its debt to equity to 0.12x. The company is now virtually net debt-free, giving it the firepower for even more acquisitions. Next up is a sector I'm actually short on right now, but I'm extremely bullish on from a 3 to 5 year perspective, and that stock is Nalco. Nalco is a primary beneficiary of the India-EU Free Trade Agreement. The removal of the 3 to 6% import duty into the EU gives Nalco a massive competitive edge over Russian and Middle Eastern suppliers. Nalco remains one of the lowest cost producers of bauxite and alumina globally. With the commissioning of the Pottangi bauxite mines expected by June 2026, its raw material security is absolute for the next decade. The company is currently expanding its smelter capacity and captive power plants as well. As global LME aluminium prices trade near 3-year highs at about 3,100 per ton, Nalco is seeing record level margins. The reason I'm short right now though is that Europe has these policies for green smelting that might hit Nalco's margins, but as the economies from Europe and India work out solutions long term, the company should benefit massively.